there, welcome to Floating in Dreams, welcome to Drugstore Week. These are my favorite eyeshadow palettes by Essence and Catrice. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes by Essence and Catrice because I try a lot of them. And some of these I really love and they are no longer around. Some of these you can still get. There's definitely a mixed bag here, so I do apologize for those people who want creators to only show things you can still buy. But if I'm very honest with Essence and Catrice, the eyeshadow quality can be very hit and miss, so I definitely don't like everything. And I feel that these are the things I truly love and adore, so that's what I want to rave about today. Before we get into the video, it may be good to know who I am and what I like doing on this channel. Hi, my name is Maaike, I live in the Netherlands, I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying out eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I do hope you'd like to consider subscribing. So yes, my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes by Essence and Catrice, as I've already mentioned, some of these are discontinued, very much discontinued. And some of these are no longer part of my active makeup collection. I still have them because I like them, but they ended up either in a makeup memories box or they are in my because I want to keep the collection complete kind of thing. Because over time, I feel that very often what Essence and Catrice do is no longer as interesting or new or creative. And very often they either dupe themselves because they come out with a new line of eyeshadow palettes that's exactly like the previous line of eyeshadow palettes we got from them. So I tend to focus on keeping around the things that I truly adore and that are unique to me. But that does mean that some of these things might be like limited edition or they were in previous collections and they can be difficult to find. So I'll try to link as many of them that I can still find in the description box down below. But I think I'm gonna be hard pressed because a lot of this is just no longer around. But I hope you don't mind me raving about these products. Where would I be without this guy, the 5 in a box from Catrice? So Catrice did this whole line of 5 in a box palettes. This is the one in Diamond Lavender look. This is just one of the 5 in a box palettes that is going to make it into this video. This is the last one they did under the name. The line we get now is called the Wow in a Box, which they only released one palette in and it was like very peachy. But this really nice cool tone grayish purple sort of situation, you knew I was gonna love it. So this one, I think it actually made it into like the top spot in my ranking when this first was released. Like I rank all of my eyeshadow palettes halfway through the year, and then at the end of the year I rank all of the eyeshadow palettes I tried. And I think it was last year in like my June halfway through the year ranking that this guy came out on top. Over high-end things, over indie makeup, this was the one I liked the best, and I can confirm till this day that I still love this. I'm gonna have, I have a couple of travel plans towards the end of the year, so over the summertime I will be traveling. I will be traveling in September and in October. And for those trips, whenever I'm traveling, these kind of little palettes are just so easy to just chuck in a bag and take with you. So very often I travel with my little 5 in a boxes from Catrice. So I definitely need to put this in a travel makeup bag soonish because this is going to be a great one. So the 5 in a box in Diamond Lavender look, chef's kiss, still love it till this day. Another Catrice palette I still love till this day is this guy. This is still in my active makeup collection as well. This is the Pro Slim eyeshadow palette in Vintage Soul. They have replaced the entire Pro Slim line with the Slim palette line, and the 3 they came out with last spring are almost identical to things in the Pro Slim line. I did a video with it, so I can link that in the description box down below in case you want to see that comparison. I did some comparative swatches and tried out all the palettes. But Vintage Soul is, I think, one of the most unique color stories that Catrice has ever done. I mean, it's grays with maroons and a plum, and then these two gray tones over here are a touch of green. It's Wait, what? So this is a bit of a weird one. The Pro Slim palettes were also not created equal because there was a whole range. I definitely did some ranking videos with the entire line of this older style. I think last year I did one for the last time, I think. And, you know, some of them are really good and have the kind of quality that makes you go like, okay, Catrice, I like it, I like this. And there were some that just dusted away into nothing and were just not really good. So I feel that because a lot of people were trying those other like palettes that didn't have the good formula, that this has gotten a bit of a bad rap. But I feel that this was one of the good ones. The color story is unique, which is why this is still in my makeup collection till this day. As I mentioned, I also have some Essence palettes in here, and one that took me by complete surprise because I had kind of ignored this line of eyeshadow palettes that they started doing at some point as part of their regular range, but then I was like, I need some eyeshadow to try for my Essence release and release video, and I was like, oh, I might as well throw this in. I knew at the time I was buying it that this wasn't like new, as it had already been out for a while, and pretty much I discovered it and then it was discontinued. But they did this, the cool nude edition, and there was like a bronze edition and a rose edition and a neutral edition. Like, this palette came in like different renditions, and some of them are still around, but this cool tone one in particular has been discontinued, sadly. It doesn't look like much. It has a couple of really good shimmers though, some really nice mattes. These like weirdish looking warm tones, they pull very pink on my complexion, which is why I like them. This is not too dark. This very nicely sheers out, and I liked it so much that I ended up putting this in giveaways when I first discovered it. I could still find a couple of these on Otino, so I decided to buy some and put them in my 10K giveaway last December because I just love the palette that much. So me wanting to give this away to people, and I think actually the Diamond Lavender look was also in that giveaway because I was like, I want to give away some of my favorite products to my subscribers, and this was definitely part of that little edit. Also part of that edit, now that we're talking about that giveaway anyways, was this. This came back on Amazon, and I was so happy because this palette was limited edition for fall 2022, and then for fall 2023 it was released in different countries in Europe, and then Amazon suddenly had it again. So I was like, okay, what's going on there? It's the Catrice Fall in Colors, and this is easily one of my favorite palettes that Catrice has ever done, hands down. I love this thing to pieces. It was limited edition, as I mentioned. It looks more warm toned than it actually is because of the gold background, and the orange in the middle kind of throws you off. But these like really nice rosy tones are super nice. It's got some like taupey leaning shimmers here as well. Really nice. You can do a neutral look with this. You can do some more rosy tones with this. You can do a warm toned look if you are inclined doing that, but you don't have to. This is so good. I wish that Catrice would do this quality all the time because I've mentioned it in the past and I'll say it again. To me, this is on par with Huda Beauty. Like the larger palettes from Huda Beauty, the formula you get in there is very comparable to this, I feel. So this one, I feel, is just a really, really good palette. And I really enjoyed using this, and I can't stop raving about it. It's because, I'm not gonna lie, I decided to do this video because I wanted to talk about this palette again. And I feel very similarly actually about Essence. Essence, again, can do really good eyeshadow palettes, but they don't always do the good formula. I have this palette in my makeup memory box, the Silver Glitter Show, which has super fun packaging with the little glitters that fall down. Because this was part of a limited edition collection. It was the first time that Essence and Catrice did a dual limited edition collection. It was called the Sister Love collection. And now whenever they do a collection together, it's still called the Sister Love. Yeah, because Essence and Catrice are owned by the same mother company, of course, in case you didn't know. And this very much reminded me of those like Stila palettes we got a couple of years ago. And this, formula-wise, was great. It just doesn't have that many mattes. It has 4 mattes and everything else is a shimmer. But this, for like a cooler tone palette, was so nice. But I have other palettes that can do this for me. The BH Cosmetics Love in London is one that I feel is very comparable in terms of color story. So I never felt like I had to keep this around in my active makeup collection. but because the formula is so good, and compared to everything else that that Essence has ever done, I was like, I need to keep this around because Essence is just that good in this palette. So that's why I felt I needed to keep this around. More 5 in a box then. I think the one that made me realize how much I like this line is from the original quartet that we got. We got like a neutral toned one. I think there was a rosy toned one, a warm toned one, and then this. And this is the 5 in a box in Modern Smoky Look. I'm not someone who buys backups of products. I have a backup of this because I was like, if I ever hit pan on this, if it were to break, if whatever happens to this, I need a pristine one because I like it so much. As I mentioned, I don't keep a lot of backups around. I don't buy things that are still good to go just for the sake of never being able to run out of it. But this, yes, I have a backup of this one. This is so lovely. It's got, essentially it's like a taupey palette with like slate colored blues, which I just love. It's a really, really good cool tone palette. It is a little bit deeper, but I love that also the lighter shimmer you get in here can work as either an inner corner highlight or all over the lid. The steel gray, sort of steely blue sort of shimmer in here is really pretty on the lower lash line. This gray has a touch of blue. It can be used as liner or deepening things up. I love with a lot of these 5 in a box palettes that I can do a look with this and use all 5 shades, and every single time I use it, it feels like a completely different makeup look. With just 5 shades at the drugstore, I feel that that's a really good thing to do. So yeah, the Modern Smoky Look I think is a really good palette. Sad, sad, so sad that it's gone. More Essence then. This came out fairly recently, so I'm pretty sure they still do it. They have this entire travel series, and they don't seem to be doing the same palettes in all territories, because there were certainly releases in the US that we never got. Like there was a London palette. It was like grace with a pop of red. I was like, hello, I want to try that, but we never got it. I hope we still do at some point. But yeah, the Cape Town palette, when I tried this, if you've been following my channel, you know how much I was raving about this. This is essentially me in a palette. Save for the orange and the gold, like these two we can ignore. But the rest of the palette, we get teals, we get taupey browns, we get greens, and then we get these like peachy things. So you can do a warm toned look if you'd like, but these kind of warm tones combined with the teals is what makes my heart sing. If you don't know anything about me, if I wear warm tones, I love contrasting them with a pop of teal because it just works really well with my brown eyes. But yeah, essentially you can do a super neutral look with this. You can do something green, you can do something teal. You can combine the neutrals with the greens or combine the browns with the teals, and it works every time. And the formula in this, I don't know who okayed this in Essence, but this definitely feels a lot more high-end when you use it than it actually went for. I think these go for like $8.99 or something, or $6.99, I don't remember. But they were like 7 or 8 euros, I think. But yeah, these are really good palettes. Not all of them I loved. I tried the Miami and the Rome, which I liked. The Marrakesh I've tried as well. And I like the quality, I like the formula, but the color stories were just never exciting to me until I tried this one. And I love how the shades in the palette are in this front cover. I think it's very clever. Another big guy from Catrice then. This one you saw me use just recently. I repurchased this. I decluttered it and then missed it in my collection. So when I saw this for like 50% off on Cosmetic for Less, I was like, shouldn't have gotten rid of this. Not sure how long it's going to last in my active makeup collection though, because it is quite neutral and nothing like super special, but this is just so fun. It's essentially a neutral palette with pops of neon. That's why it's called the Neon Nude. Ingenious, but I just think that this is again showing that Catrice can do really nice, good, interesting color stories. If they don't try to rip off other brands and they try to stick to their own creativity, this just shows you that they can actually do it. I always feel with Catrice that I'm not sure if it's laziness or them just trying to like tap into the hype and hope that that will sell them products. I think that that's actually how it works, because they have done these 15 pens for a while. They do them as limited edition collections, and I know like one of them was like a dupe for Huda Beauty's new nude, and there were like some others that were like very similar to Huda Beauty palettes, which is maybe why the Falling Colors feel so much like a Huda Beauty palette to me. This one I feel isn't quite the same formula, but I still really enjoy it, and I do feel that you get some really good shades in here. The final palette from Essence then, this is the Dancing Green eyeshadow palette. Who remembers when these were all the rage? Again, a range from Essence that got some additional shades in the US that we didn't get. There was a taupe one, there was a nude one. I think we got 4, and the green one was definitely my favorite out of the bunch. I have other green palettes that I like better in my collection, so this didn't need to stick around, but because I just thought that this was such a good little palette from Essence, I decided to keep it around in my Makeup Memories box, and that's where this one now lives. I love that it's 6 shades of green in here. In other palettes that they had out in this line, there was always this random gray. Like the blue had a random gray, the mauve one had a random gray, and I was like, that's not right. But this I really liked. I liked especially this shimmer here. That was my favorite shade. So the Essence Dancing Green, I think, is still a great palette till this day. Not sure you can still get it though. And then the final palette I wanted to show you is this. Another 5 in the box. This is the soft rosy look, and I think this was a part of the original lineup that we got. It is shade 020, so that makes me think it was. And this I have traveled with so many times. I ended up decluttering it because it's not unique in my makeup collection, as in I have so many rosy tone palettes, but in terms of like a cooler rosy tone palette, I think it still like beats a lot of my higher end things for sure. This lives in a section of my makeup collection where I keep products around so I can mention them in videos. I definitely have a little box of products that, for instance, I keep all of the remainder 5 in a boxes in, and some of my Nabla Cutie palettes, those Catrice Pro Slim palettes. I just like having the entire range at the ready so that if I ever want to talk about these products, I still can. But this one is no longer like being used in my active makeup collection because it's just no longer unique enough for me to be keeping it around. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 favorite Essence and Catrice eyeshadow palettes. I definitely hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Let me know in a comment down below, what is your favorite eyeshadow palette from either one of these brands, or maybe both if you've tried palettes from both. There will be another sort of like drugstore-ish week coming up towards the end of the year when I'm going to be talking about like my top 10 favorite foundations and whatever. So we're gonna be doing a drugstore week later in the year, and also in the fall time I like doing like my top 3 products in every category, and then I split that in high-end and drugstore as well. So I do drugstore content on a regular basis for sure, so I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more drugstore content. And then I hope you have a really great day. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more by me, and then see you in the next one. Bye-bye.